Please welcome one of the two women who got this movement started in Southbury, Vivian Templeton.
Good afternoon. I assume everybody can hear me, yes? Yes, all right. When Rick approached me about speaking today, the first thing I said to him was, what do I have to talk about? And he just said, I know you, it'll come. And of course, I see Jeff laughing already. After all, it's you guys who carried this banner for the last 5 years, so, it's really your day. But as I settled down to read that night, the story of what inspired this whole thing came tumbling back into my memory. So here I am to just give you a little story about how it all began. Now, as Rick already mentioned, it didn't really start with me. It started with my good friend Mary Dougherty. It was a Sunday morning. We were enjoying a leisurely breakfast at home, and my phone rings really early. I'm like, oh, who's this? You always panic when the phone goes off, either early or late. It's Mary, and she's pretty upset. She'd seen enough. She needed to make a statement. For those of you who don't know Mary, she's a deeply feeling, beautiful, sensitive soul. She really felt the pain of every loss that was going on in this country, and I'm sure still does right now. We had to make a statement, and that was it. So her idea was that we would have our own Black Lives Matter rally here in Southbury to show the larger world and the local community that there are those who care about our fellow beings on the planet. We'd worked together on a number of local campaigns, and Mary knew I had the capacity to make signs quickly and in a good number, and her idea was for me to print out the names of all the people of color who had been killed over the previous few years. I jumped at the idea, left my poor husband to clean up breakfast, and got started printing. Now, I like to think I follow the news, but this was a wake-up call for me. I searched for a list of names of, people of color who had recently been unalived. I was hoping to make 30. I got to 50, and I had to stop because I had to get these printed and get to the rally on time. It was appalling how many people, and this is still going on today. I mean, the news this morning was filled with we're still unaliving people of color at a much faster rate than we do their white brethren. So the final straw, as Rick said, was the death of George Floyd. As you remember, we had our COVID lockdowns. People were stressed out at home, but starting to move out into the spring with their masks on. And Minnesota came the news of the murder of George Floyd. And what was his crime? He passed a $20 counterfeit bill. This was such a heinous crime that a police officer kneeled on his back and neck for 9 minutes until he died of asphyxiation. But as we all know, George wasn't the only one, and it wasn't an isolated incident. We had learned of Eric Garner, who in July 2014 in New York City was placed in a chokehold for the heinous crime of selling a Lucy. What's a Lucy? It's a single cigarette. He bought a pack of cigarettes legally and was selling them one at a time to individuals who couldn't afford a whole pack. And for that, he was put in a chokehold by police and murdered, and the whole thing again caught on video. And then let's not forget Breonna Taylor, who was shot to death after a no-knock warrant broke down the door to her apartment. Wrong apartment, by the way. Sandra Bland, who was suspiciously found hanging in her jail cell after a routine traffic stop, and Trayvon Martin, a few years earlier, was shot to death by George Zimmerman just for being in his neighborhood. We had Ahmaud Arbery, Philander Castile, Walter Scott, Tamir Rice, Freddie Gray, Jason DeGrom, Mubarak Soleimani, Michael Brown, Keith Childress, Betty Jones, Kevin Matthews, Sam DuBose, Terrence Crutcher, Alton Sterling, Jamar Clark, Jeremy McDowell, William Chapman II, Eric Harris, Akai Gurley, Jeremy Reed, Tony Robinson, Dondre Hamilton, John Crawford III, Ezel Ford, Dante Parker, Tanisha Anderson, Philip White. That's only part of the list. Mary got up, she started making the phone calls, and you guys all showed up. People began showing up. Each week, this group got larger and larger. People began bringing their own signs, and the movement grew from here. Some drivers came by and cheered us on, like the honkers. A number came by and flipped us off. And one jerk tried to scare us off by driving a little too close to the side of the road to scare us and make you think we're going to hit him. But it didn't matter. This group grew, and it thrived, and you all expanded your mission to include the rights of all people, regardless of race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or place of birth. Justice Southbury became the official name of the group to reflect the grand idea that all deserve justice. I'm reminded of the poem by Martin E. Moeller, First They Came For. when the pastor wrote about Nazi Germany has been playing out in slow motion here in the U.S. right under our watch. What names I read above all had in common, aside from being people of color, was the lack of due process they were given. Their sentences were handed down without their constitutional benefits being given to them. The same thing is happening to our immigrant communities as we speak. People who are legally here, people who have committed no crimes, are being rounded up and deported. And make no mistake, they're coming for U.S. citizens next. The current occupant of the White House, who is only there because he got his due process rights, has already talked about rounding up and deporting the homegrown. He's persecuting those who dare to stand up to his lies, and he'll come for any and all of us, and none of us are safe. What you do here each week matters. People see and are encouraged by your actions. They are reminded that we all have a place here and are entitled to the rights provided by our Constitution. I encourage you to all continue on your mission to enlighten this community, and thank you all for your actions. Thank you very much.